Have you ever stood at the edge of an abyss so dark that you couldn't see the bottom? Imagine dedicating your entire existence to darkness, commanding rituals in shadowed rooms, whispering incantations that most people wouldn't dare to speak aloud. Now imagine that same person, years later, holding a lighter to the very books that once held her power, watching them burn while tears stream down her face. This isn't fiction. This is the story of a woman who climbed to the highest ranks of organized Satanism, only to have everything she believed shattered in a single, unexplainable moment. Her name was kept secret for years, but her testimony has shocked thousands. She wasn't a curious teenager dabbling in the occult. She was a high priestess, someone who led ceremonies, initiated others into darkness, and believed with every fiber of her being that she had found ultimate freedom. But freedom, she would discover, can sometimes be the most deceptive prison of all. What you're about to hear will challenge everything you think you know about spiritual warfare, redemption, and the battle between light and darkness. She didn't start as a Satanist. Nobody does. She was a young woman, searching for meaning in a world that felt increasingly empty. Raised in a nominally religious household where faith was more tradition than transformation, she felt the hollowness that comes when ritual replaces relationship. The church she attended spoke of a distant God, rules without reasons, and judgment without love. So when she encountered people who promised her real power, actual experiences, and a path to self-deification, it felt like awakening from a long sleep. The occult doesn't advertise itself as evil. It presents itself as enlightenment, as hidden knowledge that the masses are too afraid or too ignorant to embrace. She was told she could be her own god, create her own reality, and tap into forces that religions tried to suppress out of fear and control. It sounded like liberation. The early rituals were intoxicating. She felt energy she'd never experienced before, a sense of connection to something ancient and powerful. What she didn't realize was that every step deeper was a step further from the light she didn't even know she was leaving behind. Within 3 years, she had risen through the ranks with astonishing speed. Her dedication was absolute, her belief unshakable. And she wore the title of High Priestess like armor, believing she had finally found her true identity and purpose. As a high priestess, she wasn't playing games. The ceremonies she conducted were elaborate, precise, and purposeful. There were specific moon phases to observe, particular ingredients to gather, words that had to be spoken in exact sequences. She believed she was manipulating spiritual forces, bending reality to her will, and commanding entities that existed beyond human perception. And things happened. She won't deny that. Objects moved. People fell ill when she cursed them. Opportunities opened for those she blessed. She witnessed manifestations during rituals that defied natural explanation. To her and those who followed her, these were proof that their path was real, that the power was genuine. But there was always a price. The power never came free. Every ritual demanded something, a sacrifice, an offering, a piece of herself she could never get back. She noticed that the more she advanced, the emptier she felt. The more power she supposedly gained, the less control she actually had over her own life. Depression became her constant companion. Paranoia crept in. She started seeing shadows that watched her, hearing whispers when she was alone. Still, she convinced herself this was part of the path, that spiritual evolution required suffering. But deep down, in moments she tried desperately to ignore, a question haunted her. If this is freedom, why do I feel so trapped? It happened during what should have been a routine ceremony. She had performed this particular ritual dozens of times. The circle was cast, the candles positioned, the incantations prepared. Her followers surrounded her, their faces illuminated by flickering flames, their eyes fixed on her with reverence and expectation. She began the invocation. The words flowed from her lips with practiced precision. The atmosphere thickened, as it always did. that familiar sense of presence filling the room. But then something shifted. Something was different. Instead of the cold, oppressive energy she was accustomed to, she felt something else entirely. It was warm, it was overwhelming, and it terrified her. In that moment, she heard a voice. Not audibly, but so clearly that it was more real than any sound her ears had ever processed. The voice spoke her real name, not her ritual name, not her title, but the name her mother had whispered when she was born. And the voice said simply, "I've been waiting for you." Everything in her wanted to continue the ritual, to push through, to assert her will as she had been trained. But she couldn't speak. The words wouldn't come. Instead, she felt herself breaking, not in defeat, but in surrender, like a dam finally giving way after years of holding back an impossible weight. Tears came without permission. Her carefully maintained composure shattered, and in front of everyone gathered there, she collapsed to her knees and whispered a name she thought she had rejected forever. Jesus. What happened next, she struggles to put into words. She describes it as being seen, truly seen, for the first time in her life. Every secret, every ritual, every dark thing she had done was laid bare, not in condemnation, but in a light so pure it should have destroyed her. Yet instead of destruction, she felt something impossible. Love. Not the conditional approval she had chased her whole life, not the transactional affirmation of her fellow practitioners, but a love so complete, so undeserved, so overwhelming that it broke every defense she had ever built. She saw her life from a perspective she had never imagined. The power she thought she had was revealed as chains. The freedom she believed she'd found was shown to be slavery. The entities she thought she commanded had been commanding her all along, feeding on her devotion, her energy, her very soul. And the voice that spoke her name revealed itself fully. Jesus Christ, the one she had been taught, was either a myth or an enemy, was the only one who had the power to break the chains she didn't even know were binding her. Her followers were confused, then alarmed, then angry. They tried to continue the ritual without her. They commanded her to stand up, to stop this weakness, to remember who she was. But she had finally remembered who she was. A daughter who had been lost and was now found. A prisoner who had been offered the key. A dead woman being offered resurrection. She stood, not in defiance of them, but in obedience to something infinitely greater, and she spoke words that would cost her everything she had built in that world. I renounce this, all of it. I choose Jesus. The decision to burn her spellbooks live on camera wasn't about performance. It wasn't about creating content or seeking attention. It was about making a public declaration that couldn't be taken back, burning every bridge to a past she was leaving behind forever. She had accumulated dozens of books over her years in Satanism, grimoires, ritual manuals, personal journals filled with incantations and ceremonies. These weren't just books. They were repositories of years of study, investments of thousands of dollars, and connections to a community that had been her entire world. Friends and former followers begged her not to do it. Some threatened her. Others mocked her, saying she would come crawling back when she realized Christianity was just another prison. But she knew what she had encountered was real, more real than anything she'd experienced in all her years of ritual and ceremony. So she set up a camera in her backyard. One by one, she held up each book, naming what it represented, what rituals it contained, what she had used it for, and then she lit them on fire. The flames consumed pages that had once seemed so powerful, so important, so essential. As the smoke rose, she felt chains breaking, not metaphorically, but spiritually, tangibly, undeniably. Each book that burned was a declaration. The past has no hold on me anymore. Leaving Satanism wasn't like leaving a hobby or changing careers. It was spiritual warfare at a level most people never experience. The night after she burned the books, The attacks began. Sleep became impossible. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw terrifying images, heard accusing voices, felt presences in her room. Former friends showed up at her door, not to check on her but to intimidate her. Anonymous messages flooded her phone, some threatening violence, others trying to lure her back. Financially, she lost everything. Her business collapsed overnight. Clients disappeared. Income stopped. She had to move because people from her past kept finding her address. The isolation was crushing. But in her darkest moments, when the attacks were most intense, when the loneliness felt unbearable, when every logical part of her brain screamed that she had made a terrible mistake, she would remember that moment in the ritual, that voice, speaking her name, that love that saw everything and accepted her anyway. And she would whisper, "Jesus, I trust you," even when trusting felt impossible. Slowly, a new community formed. Christians who understood spiritual warfare rallied around her. Deliverance ministers walked her through breaking ungodly soul ties and renouncing specific pacts she had made, and Jesus proved to be the most faithful friend she had ever known. From her unique perspective, having been on the inside of organized Satanism and now on the outside looking back, she began to see things she had been blind to before. The kingdom of darkness, she realized, is a masterful counterfeit. Every truth God offers, Satan offers a twisted version. God offers love. Satan offers lust and manipulation disguised as love. God offers power through surrender. Satan offers power through control and domination. God offers freedom through obedience. Satan offers slavery disguised as freedom. She also realized that demons are real, but they're not the mysterious, powerful entities the occult makes them out to be. They're defeated, desperate beings who rule through deception. They can't actually give power. They can only loan their own diminishing influence in exchange for worship. And the moment someone invokes the name of Jesus with genuine faith, demons have no choice but to flee. The most shocking revelation was how obsessed the kingdom of darkness is with Jesus. Every ritual she had performed, every incantation she had learned, was ultimately designed to do one thing: keep people away from Jesus Christ. Because Satan knows something that many people, even many Christians, forget. Jesus isn't just a good teacher or a spiritual option. He's the Son of God, and there is power in his name that breaks every chain, cancels every curse, and defeats every demon. Today, she travels the country sharing her story as a warning and an invitation. The warning is this: the occult is not a game. It's not self-empowerment or enlightenment. It's a gateway to spiritual oppression, deception, and ultimately destruction. But her primary message isn't about fear. It's about hope. If Jesus could reach her, a high priestess who had dedicated years to opposing him, he can reach anyone. There is no one too far gone, no sin too dark, no past too stained. She tells people that Jesus isn't looking for perfect people. He's looking for surrendered people. He doesn't need you to clean yourself up first. He's not interested in your religious performance. He wants your heart, your brokenness, your honesty. He wants to meet you exactly where you are and love you into who you were always meant to be. And to those in the occult who might hear her story, she says, "I know what you're feeling right now. I know the pull, the sense of power, the community, the belief that you've found hidden truth. I know because I was you. But I'm begging you to consider, what if everything you've been told is a lie? What if the Jesus you've been taught to fear or dismiss is actually the one your soul has been searching for all along?" If you're watching this video, it's not by accident. Maybe you're curious about the occult, or maybe you're already involved. Maybe you're a Christian struggling to understand spiritual warfare. Maybe you are someone who's been hurt by religion and can't imagine that Jesus could be different. Whoever you are, whatever your story, there's an invitation being extended to you right now. Jesus isn't asking you to get your life together first. He's simply asking, will you let me love you? Will you let me show you who you really are? This woman's story proves that no one is beyond reach. The same Jesus who called her out of Satanism is calling you out of whatever darkness you are in. Her journey from High Priestess to follower of Jesus is a reminder that transformation is possible, that no past is too dark for redemption, that Jesus is exactly who he claimed to be, the way, the truth, and the life. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just watch this story. Let it question you. Let it provoke you. And if something in your heart stirred while hearing it, don't ignore that. That might just be Jesus, speaking your name, telling you he's been waiting for you. If this video impacted you, leave a comment below. Share your thoughts, your questions, your own story. Subscribe to this channel for more content that explores faith, truth, and the battles we don't always see. Hit that like button if you want more people to hear stories like this. Remember, you are not too far gone. You are not beyond saving. And the Jesus who reached into a satanic ritual to call one woman home is reaching for you too. The question is, will you take his hand?